And our next matchup is a good matchup. We have two teams, both trying to make it in the playoffs. Their playoff chances are still good. That is the Bears versus the Cardinals, with the Cardinals being favored by 1.5 and the over and under being 44.5. Chicago's coming off a crazy loss with that Hail Mary by the Commanders. It's embarrassing that their corner was celebrating and taunting fans, and that Hail Mary hits. I mean, God, that was so embarrassing for that cornerback. The game was awful for the most part in that game. The Bears, I don't think they ever led. I mean, it's admirable that they held the Commanders to that many points. So their defense did look good, the Bears, but overall it was a snooze fest of a game, except those last couple minutes in the fourth quarter. The play calling with the Bears in that game was awful. Like, what were they doing? Who's calling the plays on here? I think I saw a couple QB runs when they should have ran the game. It was just awful called game by the Bears. And it's like, God, stop being the Bears. Like, the Bears are like the Jets. They're just always terrible. They're always going to shoot themselves in the foot. It's unbelievable. Like, Bears, can you just stop being the Bears? My God. The defense is still good, so that's something they hang their hat on. They've allowed less than 20 points in 6 of their last 7 games, so pretty decent, pretty good. They are probably getting back 2 of their starters on defense, and Brisker and Gordon. I believe one's a safety and one's a corner, so they get 2 new guys back in for this game. But the Bears, just like, kind of like the Commanders, the team they just played, the Bears' wins are against terrible teams. They haven't beaten anyone with a winning record. So sorry, Bears fans, you're 4-3, you're 0-3 away. You're looking like, hey, we can still get a wild card spot, but you only beaten teams that are terrible teams. You haven't beaten one good team. You haven't beaten one team with a winning record, and you almost had a chance. And the Commanders do a Hail Mary and they beat you guys. So they already have 2 losses against running quarterbacks. So they already have 2 losses against. So there's a little pattern here. They have a good defense, but running quarterbacks gives them trouble. So we're seeing a pattern here. And they're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 games against NFC opponents. So that's something there if you want to hang your hat on, if you want to bet the Bears. The Cardinals, the first place Cardinals, actually. Never mind. The first place Cardinals. Who would have thought that they'd be the head of the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks? But I think the Cardinals are going to come back to earth. They do have Kyle Murray, and they have a solid, they're starting to put a nice core around him, but that defense is still god-awful defense. Coming off a fourth quarter comeback to win against the Dolphins. I had the Dolphins on the other side. Dolphins were up 9 points at one point in the fourth quarter, and they make a comeback win, and they win. Great, good. That's their show that they have grit, and they're not giving up. Murray's having a great year this year. He has 1,630 yards passing and 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and a couple rushing touchdowns. So that he's looking really great. Their tight end, McBride, he's looking like one of the future tight ends. Him and Bowers look like they're going to be the next great tight ends, taking the torch from the other great tight ends who are getting a little older. So he looks really great. He has 42 receptions for 446 yards, no touchdowns, but he had over 100 yards receiving in the game against the Dolphins. So, good look for him. They're 7th in rushing, not bad. Connor looks great. Murray using his legs. Connor is really reliable. He's like that car. He's like a Toyota Corolla, man. You turn that car on, it could be over 200,000 miles, but that car will turn over. He's been healthy. He had some injury problems in the past, but now that guy always gives you 60 to 100 yards. He's a great running back to have. But like I said, why Kyle Murray, he has to play Superman all the time because they have a piss poor defense. Their secondary is awful. So this is a tough game to predict. Bears are coming off an embarrassing Hail Mary loss. One of their cornerbacks gets embarrassed by taunting fans and losing that game. So with that, I think the best play here, though, is the 44.5. I think the Cardinals defense is terrible. Swift is looking good for the running back is looking good for the Bears. I think Murray uses his legs enough to get past the Bears defense and put up good drives that last long, and he gets first downs. And I think Caleb could put up a good enough game to put up at least over 20 points. I think he can, because the Cardinals can't really get after the quarterback, and they have a crappy defense. So I think he can have a solid game. I think the good wide receiver core around him will actually put up some decent numbers. His offensive line could hold the Arizona's defense, because they're like I just said, they can't rush the quarterback too well. So I think the Bears could put up 20 to 24 points in this game, and I also think the Cardinals could put up 20 points in this game as well. So I think the best play here is the over 44.5. I just think these teams will put up both over 20 points each, and they get that number for us.